Krishna, 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 Raksha Mam. Krishna, 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 Pahi Mam. Rama, Raghava, Rama, Raghava, Rama, Raghava, Raksha Mam. Krishna, Kesava, Krishna, Kesava, Krishna, Kesava, Pahi Mam. Lord Krishna's daily activities. Where did we finish? Here or here?
I think here.
Yeah. Specifically, he has arrested and imprisoned us, knowing fully that as your devotees we are subordinate to your sovereignty. Now I have explained our awful position, and your lordship can consider and do whatever you like. As the messenger and representative of all those imprisoned kings, I have submitted my words before your lordship and presented our prayers to you. All the kings are very anxious to see you, so that they can all personally surrender at your lotus feet. My dear Lord, be merciful upon them and act for their good fortune. At the very moment, the messenger of the imprisoned kings was presenting his appeal before Lord, the great sage Narada also arrived, because he was a great saint. His hair was dazzling like gold, and when he entered the assembly house, it appeared that the sun god was personally present in the midst of the assembly. Lord Krishna is the worshipable master of even Lord Brahma and Lord Shiva. Yet as soon as he saw that the sage Narada had arrived, he immediately stood up with his ministers and secretaries to receive the great sage and offer his respectful obeisances by bowing his head. The great sage Narada took a comfortable seat and stereo. And Lord Krishna worshipped him with all paraphernalia, as required for the regular reception of a saintly person. While trying to satisfy Narada-ji, Lord Krishna spoke the following words in his sweet and natural voice. My dear great sage among the demigods, I think that now everything is well within the three worlds. You are perfectly eligible to travel everywhere in space in the upper, middle, and lower planetary systems of this universe. Fortunately, when we meet you, we can very easily take information from your holiness of all the news of the three worlds. For within this cosmic manifestation of the Supreme Lord, there is nothing concealed from your knowledge. You know everything, and so I wish to question you. Are the Bandhavas doing well? And what is the present plan of King Yudhisthira? Will you kindly let me know what they want to do at present? The great sage Narada spoke as follows. My dear Lord, you have spoken about the cosmic manifestation created by the Supreme Lord, but I know that you are the all-pervading creator. Your energies are so extensive and inconceivable that even powerful personalities like Brahma, the Lord of this particular universe, cannot measure
Your inconceivable power. My dear Lord, you are present as a super soul in everyone's heart by your inconceivable potency, exactly like the fire which is present in everyone, but which no one can see directly. In conditioned life, every living entity is within the jurisdiction of the three modes of material nature. As such, they are unable to see your presence everywhere with their material eyes. By your grace, however, I've seen many times the action of your inconceivable potency, and therefore, when you ask me for the news of the Pandavas, which is not at all unknown to you, I am not surprised at your inquiry. My dear Lord, by your inconceivable potencies, you create this cosmic manifestation, maintain it, and again dissolve it. Only by dint of your inconceivable potency does this material world, although a shadowy representation of the spiritual world, appear to be factual. No one can understand what you plan to do in the future. Your transcendental position is always inconceivable to everyone. As far as I'm concerned, I can simply offer my respectful obeisances unto you again and again. In the bodily concept of knowledge, everyone is driven by material desires, and thus everyone develops new material bodies one after another in the cycle of birth and death. Being absorbed in such a concept of existence, one does not know how to get out of this engagement of the material body. By your causeless mercy, my Lord, you descend to exhibit your various transcendental pastimes which are illuminating and full of glory. Therefore, I have no alternative but to offer my respectful obeisances unto you. My dear Lord, you are the supreme Parabrahman, and your pastimes as an ordinary human being are another tactical resource. Exactly like a play on the stage in which the actor plays parts different from his own identity. You've inquired about your cousins, the Pandavas, in the role of their well-wisher, and therefore I shall let you know about their intentions. Now please hear me. First, I may inform you that King Yudhisthira has all material opulences which are possible to achieve in the highest planetary system, Brahmaloka. He has no material opulence for which to aspire to, and yet he wants to perform the Rajasuya sacrifices only to get your association and please you. Narada informed Lord Krishna, King Yudhisthira is so opulent that he has attained all opulences of Brahmaloka even on this earthly planet. He is fully satisfied and does not need anything more. He is full in everything, but now he wants to worship you, to achieve your causeless mercy.
And I beg to request you to fulfill his desires. My dear Lord, in these great sacrificial performances by King Yudhishthira, there will be an assembly of all the demigods and all the famous kings of the world. My dear Lord, you are the supreme Brahman, the personality of Godhead, one who engages himself in your devotional service, but as prescribed methods of hearing, chanting, and remembering certainly becomes purified from the contamination of the modes of material nature, and what to speak of those who have the opportunity to see you and touch you directly. My dear Lord, you are the symbol of everything auspicious. Your transcendental name and fame have spread all over the universe, including the higher, middle, and lower planetary systems. The transcendental water which washes your lotus feet is known in the higher planetary system as Mandakini, in the lower planetary system as Bhogavati, and in this earthly planetary system as the Ganges. This sacred transcendental water flows throughout the entire universe, purifying wherever it flows. Just before the great sage Narada arrived in the Sudharma assembly house of Dwarka, Lord Krishna and his ministers and secretaries had been considering how to attack the kingdom of Jarasandha. Because they were seriously considering this subject, Narada's proposal that Lord Krishna go to Hastinapur for Maharaj Yudhishthira's great Rajasuya sacrifice did not much appeal to them. Lord Krishna could understand the intentions of his associates because he is the ruler of even Lord Brahma. Therefore, in order to pacify them, he smilingly said to Uddhava, My dear Uddhava, you are always my well-wishing, confidential friend. I therefore wish to see everything through you, because I believe that your counsel is always right. I believe that you understand the whole situation perfectly. Therefore, I am asking your opinion. What should I do? I have faith in you, and therefore I shall do whatever you advise. It was known to Uddhava that although Lord Krishna was acting like an ordinary man, he knew everything, past, present, and future. However, because the Lord was trying to consult with him, Uddhava, in order to render service to the Lord, began to speak. Thus ends the Bhaktivedanta purport of the 69th chapter of Krishna, Lord Krishna's daily activities.
Chapter 70, Lord Krishna in Indraprastha city. In the presence of the great sage Narada and all the other associates of Lord Krishna, Uddhava considered the situation and spoke as follows. My dear Lord, first of all, let me say that the great sage Narada Muni has requested you to go to Hastinapur to satisfy King Yudhishthira, your cousin, who is making arrangement to perform the great sacrifice known as Rajasuya. I think, therefore, that your lordship should immediately go there to help the king in this great adventure. However, although to accept the invitation offered by the sage Narada as primary is quite appropriate, at the same time, my lord, it is your duty to give protection to the surrendered souls. Both purposes can be served if we understand the whole situation. Unless we are victorious over all the kings, no one can perform this Rajasuya sacrifice. In other words, it is to be understood that King Yudhishthira cannot perform this great sacrifice without gaining victory over the belligerent King Jarasandha. The Rajasuya sacrifice can be performed only by one who has gained victory over all directions. Therefore, to execute both purposes, we first have to kill Jarasandha. I think that if we can somehow or other gain victory over Jarasandha, all our purposes will automatically be served. The imprisoned kings will be released, and with great pleasure we shall enjoy the spread of your transcendental fame for having saved the innocent kings from Jarasandha, whom Jarasandha has imprisoned. But King Jarasandha is not an ordinary man. He has proved a
stumbling block, even to great warriors, because his bodily strength is equal to the strength of 10,000 elephants. If there is anyone who can conquer this king, it is none other than Bhimasena, because he also possesses the strength of 10,000 elephants. The best thing would be for Bhimasena to fight with him alone. Then there would be no unnecessary killing of many soldiers. In fact, Jarasandha would be very difficult to conquer when he stands with his Aksanini divisions of soldiers. We may therefore adopt a policy more favourable to the situation. We know that King Jarasandha is very much devoted to the Brahmanas and very charitably disposed to them. He never refuses any request from a Brahmana. I think, therefore, that Bhimasena should approach Jarasandha in the dress of a Brahmana, beg charity from him, and then personally engage in fighting him. In order to assure Bhimasena's victory, I think that your lordship should accompany him. If the fighting takes place in your presence, I'm sure Bhimasena will emerge victorious. For your presence makes everything impossible possible. Indeed, Lord Brahma creates this universe and Lord Shiva destroys it simply through your influence. Actually, you create and destroy the entire cosmic manifestation. Lord Brahma and Lord Shiva are only the superficially visible causes. Creation and destruction are actually performed by the invisible time factor, which is your impersonal representation. Everything is under the control of this time factor. If you're invisible, the time factor can perform such wonderful acts through Lord Brahma and Lord Shiva. Will not your personal presence help Bhimasena conquer Jarasandha? My dear Lord, when Jarasandha is killed, the queens of all the imprisoned kings will be so joyful at their husbands being released by your mercy that they will sing your glories as pleased as the gopis were when they when relieved from the hands of Sankashura. All the great sages, the king of the elephants, Gajendra, the goddess of fortune, Sita, and even your father and mother were all delivered by your causeless mercy. We also have been delivered, and we will also sing the transcendental glories of your activities. Therefore, I think that if the killing of Jarasandha is undertaken first, that will automatically solve many other problems. As for Rajasuya's sacrifice arranged in Istanipur, it will be held, either because of the pious activities of the imprisoned kings or the impious activities of Jarasandha.
My lord, it appears that you are to go personally to Hastinapur to conquer demoniac kings like Jarasandha and Shishupal, to release the pious imprisoned kings, and also to perform the great Rajasuya sacrifice. Considering all these points, I think that your lordship should immediately proceed to Hastinapur. This advice of Uddhavas was appreciated by all who were present in the assembly. Everyone considered that Lord Krishna's going to Hastinapur would be beneficial from all points of view. The great sage Narada, the elderly personalities of the Yadu dynasty, and the supreme personality of Godhead Krishna himself all supported the statement of Uddhava. Lord Krishna then took permission from his father Vasudeva and grandfather Ugrasena, and he immediately ordered his servants Daruka and Jaitra to arrange for travel to Hastinapur. When everything was prepared, Lord Krishna especially bid farewell to Lord Balaram and the king of the Yadus, Ugrasena, and after dispatching his queens along with their children and sending their necessary luggage ahead, he mounted his chariot, which bore the flag marked with the symbol of Garuda. Before starting their procession, Lord Krishna satisfied the great sage Narada by offering him different kinds of worshipful articles. Naradaji wanted to fall at the lotus feet of Krishna, but because the Lord was playing the part of a human being, he simply offered his respects within his mind, and, fixing the transcendental form of the Lord within his heart, he left the assembly house by the airways. Usually the sage Narada does not walk on the surface of the globe, but travels in outer space. After the departure of Narada, Lord Krishna addressed the messenger who had come from the imprisoned kings and told him that they should not be worried, for he would very soon arrange to kill the king of Magadha, Jarasandha. Thus he wished good fortune to all the imprisoned kings and the messenger. After receiving this assurance from Lord Krishna, the messenger returned to the imprisoned kings and informed them of the happy news of the Lord's forthcoming visit. All the kings were joyful at the news and began to wait very anxiously for the Lord's arrival. The chariot of Lord Krishna began to proceed, accompanied by many other chariots, along with elephants, cavalry, infantry, and similar royal paraphernalia. Bugles, drums, trumpets, conch shells, horns, and coronets all produced a loud, auspicious sound which vibrated in all directions. The 16,000 queens.
Sure.
Maybe we should stop here.
Yeah.
Okay, so we stop here now for today. We are handing over. There's Kirtan Dublin program that starts at 7 o'clock. So we handed over to live from Madhava and Sundari. And type Kirtan Dublin. It's not on this channel, but on Kirtan Dublin channel.